For joining this experience. Today we're going to take some time to clear some of our energy, come back into a balanced experience, and hopefully give us some grounding to be able to go into your day and love what you do and make good decisions. Today, some of what we're going to work on is the concept of effort and alignment. And I know that we talk a lot about that. So we're going to go in, as we go through the breath work, I just want you to think about some of these processes, and then we're going to take a deeper dive. So effort in itself is sometimes needed when we are trying to manifest in the ask of what we want, right? So in the request. But to be able to actually receive what we want, we need to move into more of an alignment aspect. So it's like the ask, like if we're asking for something, we need to then put our hand out to receive it. It's difficult to receive something if we're not open to receive it, which ends up being a different energy. So as we do the breath work today, I want you to notice the difference, the contrast between the inhale and the exhale. The exhale being sort of the effort component where we need to release as much as possible so that we have an opportunity to bring in and invite the next breath. So just notice if there's a slight energy shift between the inhale and the exhale as we move through this. Just focusing on that, your relationship with that, and then we'll dive into it. We'll dive a little deeper shortly. All right, so wherever you are, just find a comfortable seat. Just notice where you are in this experience. If you're in the sunshine, if you're sitting on the couch, if you're feeling sunshine inside your soul, just notice where you are. Lean back into the chair behind you, the seat, the support for your spine. Notice your feet. Notice if there's anywhere that you can align or create more support. Feel free to take that. Sometimes a pillow, a blanket, something that will give you just a little bit more support, as well as a glass of water. If any of you want some hydration or a warm drink, that is available to you as well. All right, and with that, we'll begin. So placing the tongue at the roof of the mouth, gently begin to inhale through the nose and fill that space within. Just building on that first breath, introducing yourself to this space, expanding into your chest area, and possibly the belly too. And when you're ready, feel free to let go. Exhale, feel free to blow out of your mouth. Tighten the core, and you can blow sharply out of the mouth, expelling anything that might be sitting at the bottom of your belly. And then naturally begin to inhale the next inhale through the nose. Follow the breath into your body. Notice where in your body is able to absorb the nourishment, the nurturing. Softening some of the muscles. Again, tightening the belly, just gently. And exhaling through the mouth. So notice your communication, right? As in, communication is not always with words, it is with sensations. So even with our relationship with breathing, with the exhale and the inhale. So on this next inhale, just pay attention to how you can receive, what you can receive. Focus more on the oxygen coming into your body rather than what your brain can process. Now, in comparison to our bodies, our head is very small, right? So just think about it as well as the body can take in more than the mind can imagine. Physically, the body is larger. So that expansive space is available to you. So take in what you need, softening every step of the way. And then softly begin to exhale. I'm going to do one more round. So just notice if your shoulders shifted. Notice if you need any kind of adjustment to be just a little bit more open to this experience. We're going to inhale again through the nose. Notice if your spine is able to enjoy some of this replenishing. And then softly begin to exhale. Beautiful. So just in life in general, for a lot of us, one of the strongest lines a lot of us use is the words, "I don't want to take this personal," or don't take this personal. And we try so hard to make things less personal. But when we're in a place where we're trying to make things less personal, it's harder to connect. The fear of making something personal is that we connect or correlate it being personal with getting emotionally overwhelmed. But really, it's kind of two different things, as in you don't have to derail, right? We don't have to derail if we're taking something personal. So the thing is, if we think of, I want you to think to yourself now, if I said to you in this moment, take this practice personal, what does personal mean to you? If any of you want, feel free to type into the chat. You can do it privately as well. I would love to hear like a word or two of, or like a sensation of, when you think of personal, what that means to you, because everyone's going to have a different interpretation. But I'll continue, and then if things pop in, that's great. But when you are taking something personal, there's this deep connection with whatever it is. There's a deep investment in it, right? And the opposite side of or I'd say the flip side of connection is the sense of disconnect. And for a lot of us, when we don't want to take something personal, the reason is because we don't want to get hurt, right? There's a lot of times there's this fear of getting hurt or being judged, right? So if it's less personal, then it's less about us. And for a lot of us, it's easier to kind of move through the world in a way, or we think it is. It's easier for us to move through the world in a way where things are less personal because we approach it from the place of being afraid of getting hurt, right? Or it being too personal. A really simple example of this is when it comes to building yourself a wardrobe. I heard this, there's this person that I follow that she has this like blog, and she does this really great thing when it comes to fashion, where she walks into different stores and she will show you the price tag, and then she will show you what the clothes are made of and if they were sewn well, right? And she'll show you like, this is, this will last you a long time. This is not worth its money. And just, the way it's cut and styled. And she was saying that trying to build a wardrobe out of fast fashion, if you're trying to do fast fashion, you're never going to become an icon. Now, obviously, she's coming from a world where a lot of people want to be like the star of the show. But really, if we kind of look at our own personal worlds, every single one of us is the star of our own show. So some of you have heard me say this before. I always say, don't build yourself. If you go by fashion, like if you're wearing the latest thing, it's going to be much harder to, first of all, to keep up. Second of all, there's very little personality attached to that, as in on a personal level. But I always say build a wardrobe. And building a wardrobe is finding timeless pieces that you personally connect to. And when you do that, you're investing in the longevity of your own expression. Now, the fear for people to do that is that they're afraid that they're not going to be like up to date, whatever that means. But the thing is and in the up to date scenario, it's about, I am being like everyone else. So then kind of you blend in a little bit more. And there's so much recognition around that. But what if you took things personally? And what if you started to include your own opinion and your own style and things that made you happy? So if we take that kind of concept and move it into the rest of our life. So the reason I bring up clothes is because I think it's so easily relatable, because we went from having seasons to now they're saying that fashion is like there's 52, like basically every single week there's new things coming out, right? So the faster they do that, the more enslaved we are to a machine of sorts, and it's more difficult for us to actually personalize our experience. And if we can't personalize our experience, there's nothing personal about it, and then that bleeds into the rest of our life. So we're going to take that concept and kind of move into the rest of our life. And I just want you to notice if you did take something personally, right? Like if you took things more personally, if it's the way you move through your house, the way you move through your own body, right? The accountability in your experiences in themselves, where first identify what taking something personal is to you, what that connection means, and then moving into the space of if you acted from a place or behaved in a way that it was more personal, right? You are more personable. There's something so genuine about that and so authentic. And the thing that we crave most of the time is to connect. And I always say it's not about getting people to like you. It's about getting people to respect you. And that respect comes from a place of really being able to authentically connect. So if we step out of the space of, oh, somebody might make fun of us for or mock our choices, whatever that is, life choices, and we come from a place of, no, this is really personal to me, there's a certain sense of respect. I think mockery comes from a place where we ourselves are mocking ourselves. And come on, for so many of us, there's so many things that we do that really deserve personal mocking. So when we kind of move into that space where we're like, okay, no more nonsense. I'm going to show up as myself, and I'm going to make, when I step into the world, I'm going to step into my own world, right? With that conviction where it's personal. Now, there doesn't have to be an intensity to it. It's just an authenticity. And the authenticity of, I'm okay being myself and giving myself that permission to live in that space where I do take myself seriously and I am personable, right? When we do that, like so many of us, the end game is to be connected. And when we feel that disconnect, a lot of times it comes from that place. So with that being said, I'm going to break down a few things for you where, like when we began class, it might just give you some insight into how this works and how to build the muscle of taking things personal in a positive way. So when we break it into the effort versus alignment, right? The balance of effort and alignment. So when we think about effort, I always say effort is, one of my teachers said that effort is like asking a blind man to put in effort to see. No matter how much effort he's going to put in, he's not going to be able to, it's not going to give him the ability to see. But when we think about effort in general, so a lot of times when we're thinking about effort, there's usually like a discipline aspect to it. For a lot of people, there's a sense of intensity, right? Constriction of muscles, as in we have to feel some kind of pain. And so the thing is, if we think about effort in a healthy manner, effort is the thing we do to overcome resistance, right? So if you think about, okay, I need a meditation. I need the meditation, right? And for a lot of us, we're in that place where we need it so badly. And the effort component wouldn't be that meditation is the effort. It's the situating yourself in a place, right, where you get past the resistance that doesn't let you be in the healthiest or your optimal health, right? So it's not so much a battle versus creating the discipline and getting past the resistance. So when we think about effort in general, effort when it comes to any desire and request in life, if I say to you, a lot of people have this relationship, let's say, with a higher power and Hashem, where they're like, Hashem should just send me the things I want, and I don't understand. Like, I ask all the time, and and we go into that kind of ranting space. And I say to them, like, if you think about somebody you really have a good relationship with, what does that look like in the sense of your relationship, right? So some people have like a really negative relationship with Hashem, where they get really angry and then they get really happy, and it's kind of very dysfunctional, right? But the first thing we need to do is, if there's a place where that we're asking that request, right? If you think about simple scenario, you want somebody to buy you a bouquet of flowers. It's getting into the detail of, you could say to somebody, I like flowers, right? And then that person can buy you flowers for your birthday. But you don't know what's going to show up. It'll be flowers. Or you can get a little bit more personal and say, I like this kind of color, this kind of style. And the more detail you give them, the more you articulate, the easier it is to get the thing that you are asking, right? And sometimes the answer is no. But if the answer is yes, you have a higher chance. Now, with that higher chance comes the possibility of somebody making fun of you or mocking your taste, right? But on the other hand, the receiving aspect from the ask is a much higher chance. Now, number one, that person can feel closer to you because you're naturally in a space where you are being very personal, right? And you're taking accountability for the things you like. So when we ask, when we go into the asking perspective, there might be a little bit of effort that gets put into the ask and the request. Just like with the exhale, right? Exhaling completely to be in a place where we can take in the next inhale, knowing that with that ask comes a little bit of resistance. And it's a different frequency, right? It's two different frequencies of it's like on the phone, right? I think nowadays it's a little different, but if you think about the old phones, like you heard out of the top and you spoke into the bottom, right? It's two different places. We didn't speak and hear out of the same place. So I'm sure in our little phones nowadays, it's the same style, but we just don't have the visual of like you listen into this and you speak into that. But the thing is, it's two different frequencies. To be able to listen, you need to use your ears, and to be able to communicate, you need to use your mouth and your heart, right? And to listen, you need your brain and your ears, right? Possibly your heart too. But it's a different frequency. So first of all, understanding and acknowledging that it is two different frequencies.
Have you been feeling sad
One
most of the
second
time,
here.
losing interest in things you once cared about?
Sorry.
You may be experiencing these and other.
So it's just noticing that it is two different frequencies. When we actually do understand that, then we can begin to understand that to move from one to the other, we need to be able to shift. So when we're in a space of asking, we're in one place, and just noticing and starting to recognize where that is, right? Where is that place where we speak, and what is it exactly that we are communicating? And the more personal we get, the better. And then on the other side, it's about the alignment and the receiving. And for that to happen, we need to be in a different place. So what's really interesting is that when we go into more of a meditative space, we're in a lower vibration. To receive, we naturally have to be in a lower vibration. We need to create the quiet within our minds and our bodies to be able, and we need to create the space, like the vessel, to be able to receive. So it's less muscle tension, right? So if we're lifting a box or we're communicating, we kind of can feel the tension in our muscles, which comes with effort. But with a sense of alignment and a sense of being in a space to receive, it's being open to whatever needs to show up, and we have to be in a place where we can accept it. The thing is, also to receive, we can't do it from a disconnected place. So another thing to also have in mind is that when we are in a space of asking, there are a lot of details involved, right? We can have detail. But when we're in a place where we are receiving, we have to be in a place where there's less judgment and less scrutinizing, in the sense of whatever is created from what we asked is not up to us at that point. Think about creation in general. It's like saying a baby, right? When somebody's pregnant, you are in the space of creating, but you have influence over the way you receive this experience, but you don't have control over what ends up developing, right? It's like planting a tree or baking, right? You can put the ingredients together, but that's the effort part. That's the request part. Putting it in the oven, whatever happens then is going to be up to that. So it's knowing that the creation aspect is where we have to disconnect the judgment. It's really, really important to disconnect the judgment at that point. And the thing is, for a lot of us, when we do go into the receiving place, for a lot of us, there's a lot of complaining that happens. And when there is complaining, there's a disconnect. And that is also a sign that we are in a place that we are not even aware of what we asked for, or how the effort and alignment cycle works. So I just thought that was, for me, it was a really powerful kind of thought process. And I felt like when we're able to break some of this stuff down, it's just really, really helpful. So with that, I will open it up. Thank you so much for being here.